Cyprus, sun, sea and sand for 51 weeks a year, but for the other, speed, suspension and stones as the World Rally Championship hits the island. The island of Cyprus lies in the eastern Mediterranean, south of Turkey and west of Lebanon. 2002 is the 30th running of the Cyprus Rally, but only the third time it's been a part of the World Rally Championship. Day 1, 6 stages saw plenty of dramas. First to hit problems was Peugeot's Gilles Panizzi. This roll cost Gilles and his co-driving brother Hervé precious seconds. No lasting damage was done, but the incident put pay to any real chance of a good result. Gilles, though, was still in playful mood as he prepared to hand the damaged 206 over to his mechanics to fix. His teammate, the reigning world champion Richard Burns, had a frustrating day. His first gravel rally in a Peugeot saw him struggle with the car's setup, and he ended day 1 in 9th place, almost collapsing with heat exhaustion after the day's last stage. But the unluckiest man on day 1 had to be Peter Solberg. Widely tipped to take his first World Rally victory in Cyprus, he spun. Spun again. Had rear transmission problems, and then stopped completely on stage 3 when the Subaru's fly-by-wire throttle cable fell off the pedal, costing nearly 4 minutes to fix.
Unbelievable, my luck.
I don't want to say anymore. I'm normally quite happy, but now yeah.
It took 10 minutes of sympathy from Solberg's former teammate Colin McRae to cheer up the distraught Norwegian, but he then set the fastest time on the next stage, underlining the fact he could so easily have won here. There was more bad luck for his colleague Tommy McKinnon. Rear suspension problems and the blank display screen slowed the 4-time world champion, who ended day 1 in 5th place. Championship leader Marcus Gronholm had expected to lose time by running first on the road, but the rally's move to April meant that most of the loose gravel had been washed away by the winter rains, and he ended the day in 2nd place. Carlos Sainz, though, was another to hit problems. Drive shaft and power steering failure meant the unhappy Spaniard would be 23rd when the rally returned to the host city Limassol. Instead, it was Ford's 2 young stars who shone. 21-year-old Francois Duval was fastest on stage 2, and so led a round of the World Championship for the very first time, while it was Marco Martin who was quickest on the next stage, and so took his turn to lead the rally. Even a puncture couldn't slow him. His co-driver Michael Clark was quick to recognise as the pair crossed the finish line.
Oh, thank you, Pirelli.
But the day belonged to Colin McRae. The little finger he broke in Corsica is no longer troubling him. He was fastest on 2 of the day's 6 stages to lead the rally by a little under 7 seconds. Among all the dramas, the strength of the Skoda Octavia and some fancy footwork helped Kenneth Eriksson to end day 1 in 6th place, while there were also 2 Hyundais in the top 12. Freddie Loitz heading the Korean team's challenge in 7th place, just outside the points. Loitz's old team Mitsubishi had been looking forward to returning to gravel, but all 3 of their cars were off the pace and well down the leaderboard. This, in fact, was how that leaderboard looked after the first 6 stages. McRae's lead over Gronholm just 6.9 seconds, while a further 11 covered the Ford pair in 3rd and 4th places. Behind the top 6, Harry Rovanpera was threatening Loitz, with Richard Burns and Armin Schwartz battling for 9th. Day 2, the rally's longest, would see a further 8 stages to the west of Limassol, in the hills near the resort of Paphos. 3 in the morning, 3 in the early afternoon, and 2 final stages in the late afternoon would keep the crews on the road for over 14 hours. In the clear light of a Cyprus dawn, the crews could afford a moment or 2 to relax before they tackled stage 7.
It's a lead, but it's not a huge lead.
No, it's not huge, and there's still 2 days to go, so we just need to keep on pushing, and hopefully we can be quicker than Marcus.
Harry, you're 8th overall going into day 2. You've got Freddie Loix just 2 seconds in front of you. You must feel you can catch him on the first couple of stages.
Today is very long day, and if we try very hard and going well, we can doing.
I have a few big boys behind me, and Kenneth is just in front of me, so I think if we want to win some places, we're going to have to flat out.
Stage 7, the day's first, an 11-kilometre sprint. With the top 15 now running in reverse order, it was the Skoda of Gabriel Pozzo which had the task of running first. But many eyes were on the man running second on the road, Peter Solberg.
6 right left of a crest, opens half long, keep in, to keep right of a crest, 20, 2 left minus, tightens 1 plus, 30, 2 right minus, keep in, half long, opens 40, late 2 left minus, tightens 1 over narrow slippy bridge, 20.
He might have lost over 4 minutes yesterday with Solberg. Ian Philbils was 6th fastest on the stage. Finland's Jani Parsonen was on his second rally for Mitsubishi, but he was about to become the first victim of day 2. Broken steering meant the Lancer was out. After a disappointing first day, Richard Burns was determined to move up the leaderboard. Equal 4th fastest, Burns and co-driver Robert Reid had not only passed Armin Schwarz to move into 9th, but the pair were now only 7 seconds or so away from snatching 8th. It was Burns' teammate Harry Rovanperä who shared the 4th fastest stage time, and he too moved up a place, passing Freddie Loix to claim 7th. Loix himself was 7th quickest, but 2.5 seconds lost to Rovanperä was enough to drop the Belgian to 8th.
Op 75, rechtshouden top 50, klinkt 100 min wip. 75 rechtshouden top 50, klinkt 100 min wip en 75.
Despite the fact that Marcus Gronholm hasn't lost on gravel since last September, he has yet to win a stage in Cyprus, but just 4/10ths of a second were all that prevented him from winning stage 7.
Ja oikein nopea kivet sisällä. Ja nyppy oikein täys. 7 ja haen. Nyppy oikein täys. 8.
Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz have both gambled on taking a tyre more suited to slightly muddy conditions, and that looked to have mixed results. McRae was 3rd quickest, losing 1.6 seconds to Gronholm as a result.
6 crest, the right tightens the 5. And here right tightens the slow 4, comes over crest, no together. In left tightens the slow.
But Sainz used those tyres to much better effect. His stage win was Ford's 5th from 7. Today's insight from the virtual spectator comes from early in stage 7. Solberg's Subaru, the 2 Peugeots of Gronholm and Burns, and the Mitsubishi of Alistair McRae are more or less equal over the bridge, but while the Impreza and the 206s stay fairly close together, the Lancer quickly starts to fall back. As well as being slightly slower out of the corners, keep an eye on the speed readouts at the bottom of your screen. While the first 3 all hit a high of 144 kilometers an hour or so, the Lancer is 1 or 2 kph slower. Mitsubishi's problems, it seems, aren't confined to tarmac. Stage 8, and while the sun was still shining down in Limassol, it had most definitely been raining in the mountains. Freddie Loix slithered around in the mud, but the conditions would cause further problems for the Hyundai before the stage finish. The accent cut out following a water splash, Loix losing time getting the car going again, and so dropped to 9th place. Kenneth Eriksson was also under pressure. 9 seconds were lost to the chasing Harry Rovanperä, so the pair were now separated by under a second, and Eriksson's 6th place looked shaky. Tommy Mäkinen too was concerned. He'd moved to within 5.5 seconds of snatching 4th place from Francois Duval, but a mystery engine fault was troubling the Finn.
Tiukka serpo oikea kässäri. Tiukka serpo oikea kässäri.
On the road section after the stage, Mäkinen's bonnet was up and there was some head scratching going on.
Something wrong with the engine, it's just, I don't know, is it just turbo or exhaust pipe damage or something, but we lost completely torque. I stole the engine once.
Marco Martin was on different tyres to those of his colleagues McRae and Sainz, and the difference showed. Only 10th fastest, Martin dropped over a second a kilometre to both his teammates.
Widest 40, 6 minus left, 30, 3 plus left now.
The muddy conditions suited the tyre choice of the two senior Ford drivers. Colin McRae was second fastest, extending his lead over Gronho once again to 8.4 seconds.
Right tighten to the 4, opens, into 6 right 30, left tightens to 3 plus.
Stage 8 there was a far less happy hunting ground for the younger McRae and his co-driver David Senior. Alistair's rally hasn't gone well so far, and it was about to take a turn for the worse. Literally.
Shit. Do you want to get out or should we stay in?
In the end, the pair got out to supervise the recovery operation. The Mitsubishi was soon back on its wheels again, but their mechanics would have some work to do. No such worries for Carlos Sainz. Thanks to that tyre gamble, he set the fastest time for the second stage in a row. Sainz, however, was still in 17th place, so the stage wins had no effect on the leaderboard. McRae still led Gronholm with Martin in 3rd place, but Mäkinen was now threatening Duval, and 6th placed Kenneth Eriksson was just 9/10 of a second ahead of Rovanperä, with Burns now 8th. Stage 9, at nearly 31 kilometres, the longest of the rally, would see a change of fortune for the Fords. The Subaru of Petter Solberg was second fastest, a full 5 seconds quicker than Sainz. The stage was a lot drier than the previous two, and so the Ford tyre choice didn't work as well.
Right plus tightens, opens 20, 1 right minus, 10, 1 left plus, tightens minus, into short 3 right, opens 40.
Solberg was now 13th overall, also helped by Francois Delacour breaking a drive shaft on the stage and losing over a minute and a half.
50 mètres, gauche 80, bon.
C'est pas possible le temps.
Vas-y, tu dois se tromper. 75 mètres à 90.
But there was more good news for Subaru. Mäkinen's mystery engine fault had disappeared, and he set the fastest time.
Ja tosi pitkä vasen nopea plus kirraa 2. 4. Oikein nopea plus helppo aukee 3. Tiukka serpo vasen hivi sisällä ja pikku poppu.
This time it was Harry Rovanperä's Peugeot which was the quickest of the French cars. 4th fastest, Rovanperä and co-driver Risto Pietalainen were now 5th, with their teammates Richard Burns and Robert Reid also in a point-scoring position for the first time. They'd climbed to 6th. One reason for Burns' good fortune was Francois Duval's retirement. His excellent run, which included his first stage win, remember, came to an end with suspected engine failure early in the stage.
I'm in the stage, but we don't have oil pressure in the engine, and it's very noisy, bad noise on the engine. What we should do, continue or break the engine? I don't think so. This is a good idea to continue.
Balkan inside. I don't know.
The oil pressure, no water. Oil pressure finish, the engine is stop.
Those wet pattern gravel tyres had worked for McRae and Sainz on the first 2 stages, but the third wasn't so successful for the Ford duo. Sainz was 3rd fastest, with McRae only 7th. The gap from the Focus to Gronholm's Peugeot was now back down to under 2 seconds again.
Into 2 right plus tightens, into left and 2 right tightens, and long 2 left minus, and right tightens to 2 opens, 30, 4 left,
Marcus, 1.9 seconds behind Colin now. The fight is well and truly on.
Yes, it is, but the weather conditions are they are changing a lot. Here is sunshine, but on the stages it could be muddy now, I think, also.
Did you have a good feeling on those 3 stages?
Yes, everything's working well and I don't have any problems and tires is correct for me and it's good.
Alistair, you seem to have redesigned the aerodynamics on the car. What happened?
Yeah, no, just done a tight hairpin left. Come round the corner and went to accelerate out the corner, and I think the wheels were on the loose at the side and just sort of fell onto the outside of the banking and just slid down the bank and rolled onto the road below. So not a quick accident, but did enough damage.
Enough damage for the Mitsubishi mechanics to need almost every second of the 20 minutes of service time allowed to repair the car. Stage 10 was a repeat of 7, but this time there was the threat of rain in the air. After all the problems of day 1, Petter Solberg's Subaru was running second on the road. As a result, Solberg got through the stage before the rain came, which helped him to set the fastest time.
To left minus, double tightens, don't cut, 40. Or right plus, keep in the slow 5 left of a crest, opens 1 left plus the gaps that he made.
Behind the Subaru came 2 Peugeots. Burns, Solberg's former teammate at Subaru, was equal third fastest, was 6 tenths of a second quicker than his colleague.
Crest 18, flat left, 20 left, max 100, medium, right, minus tight, and keep right.
Mackinnon finished the stage on exactly the same time as Burns. The gap from first place to third now exactly 24 seconds. Grumho, meanwhile, was just 1/10 of a second slower than Colin McRae through the short stage, so the gap from first to second hardly changed. Confirmation of exactly how things stood at the rally's halfway point. McRae's lead was now precisely 2 seconds, while 4th place Marco Martin looked to be dropping back to within range of the 2 Peugeots. Kenneth Eriksson was now also less than 9 seconds in front of Loix. Stage 11 was another chance for the crews to tackle the 11.25-kilometre Quattros test. Again, Solberg and Mills were able to get through the stage before the rain fell, and again the pair set the quickest time. This time, though, the rain would be even heavier than on the previous stage, and the Peugeots wouldn't like the conditions. Burns was the fastest 206 driver this time, 4th quickest, but by now 5th overall. The reason? A moment's loss of concentration by Harry Rovanperä.
Vasenko 2. Oikein takavino risteys. 7. Varo vasen nopea.
The road only passed the finish around 20 seconds, but more importantly, Rovanperä was now down to 6th. Despite an oil leak on the way to the stage, Kenneth Eriksson was 7 tenths of a second quicker than Freddie Loix, so the Swede clung on to 7th place. Marcus Grumho was just 7th quickest, losing another 8 seconds or so to the charging McRae. 3 seconds to the man in 3rd place, Tommy Mackinnon. The rally leader was 2nd fastest, but Colin McRae was a full 17.2 seconds slower than Solberg, which gives you an idea of just how much the conditions changed. Stage 12 was another 30-kilometre affair, but the rain threatened to be a bigger influence on the result than the rocks and stones. For the third stage in a row, the conditions helped Solberg, but on this occasion things were a lot more even. Even so, he was fastest again, this time by over 35 seconds, so Solberg had clearly decided he could still salvage a point or two from the rally. For others though, the rain meant misery. The incredible downpour of heavy rain and even hailstones was bad enough for those crews that had windscreen wipers. Francois Delacour's had broken. He lost over 6 minutes with almost zero visibility. Tony Gardemeister in the Skoda was another whose wipers would give up on what seemed an unequal struggle. His time lost though was over 10 minutes, and he dropped from 11th to 16th as a result. The great battle between Gardemeister's teammate Kenneth Eriksson and Freddie Loix came to a premature end on stage 12 when the Hyundai retired with gearbox failure. Tommy Mäkinen too would be another who got forced to end stage 12. A spin, then having to drive around 7 kilometres with a broken wheel rim, and the Subaru driver was a minute and 45 seconds slower through the stage than his colleague Solberg.
Vasen eri 2 ja on leveä 2.
Marco Martin's Day 2 performance had never really matched that of Day 1. He and Michael Park had never looked like winning a stage, and the misted up windscreen on stage 12 merely added to their problems. They dropped to 5th place, allowing a rejuvenated Burns to snatch 4th.
And 3 minus left here. This was
third fastest, Grönholm spent much of the stage crawling through conditions which looked more like the rally of Great Britain than Cyprus, although amazingly the end of the stage was bone dry again. McRae's full focus though was only 15 seconds faster than the Peugeot. The 1995 world champion was also taking his time, refusing to be caught out by the treacherous conditions, but his lead had now grown to over 25 seconds.
Continues, step outside. Okay, long left right, slippy.
But his brother Alistair wasn't so fortunate. He was another of the victims of stage 12, retiring his Mitsubishi with engine failure.
Tony, I think your problem was quite obvious on that stage.
Very, very bad thing. We broke the windscreen wipers on the about after 15 k's or something, and we stopped many times because we can't see nothing.
These days it's heavy raining and I not can see nothing, and muddy coming the sideways and water coming inside the windscreen is
most terrible stage in my life.
Why was that?
Here is dry, but in the forest completely it was raining, water all over the road.
That's probably the worst stage you've ever done. It was terrible, really bad.
Marcus Grönholm said exactly the same.
It's no, it was just so much rain you could hardly see, and the road was like a river. The car was just aquaplaning everywhere.
Stage 14 was cancelled thanks to the weather, so stage 13 would be the day's last. Solberg was again fastest, but easily the slowest was Tony Gardemeister, who lost over 6 minutes with an electrical problem. Grönholm was just 7th quickest on the day's final stage, losing nearly another second to the rally leader.
7 ja oikealle vasen hidas.
McRae, though, was more than happy with setting the 5th fastest time. He and the 4 team badly need a victory here to put their championship hopes back on course, so there was no point in taking unnecessary risks. The leaderboard at the end of day 2 looks like this. 26.2 seconds separate McRae and Grönholm, with Mäkinen and Burns set for a great scrap on the final day. The fight for the remaining point-scoring positions will also go down to the wire, it seems, with Solberg intent to salvage something from the rally.
Can you win this rally tomorrow?
Yeah, we're in a good position to try, that's for sure, but nothing's guaranteed at the end of the day.
Marcus, end of day 2, you're 26 seconds down on Colin. Can you catch him tomorrow?
I don't know. Depends on the weather, and if it's really difficult, then maybe it's not so good idea to take a risk, but it's maybe a little bit too much. But let's see. Everything is possible.
Tommy, what's the plan for tomorrow? Catch Gronholm and McRae or keep Burns behind you?
I think Gronholm and McRae, they are too far away. I just try to keep Burns behind. I think that's the plan.
Day 2 seen more dramas, more retirements and more amazing performances, but McRae still leads. Can he hang on, or will Ford's run of victories in Cyprus come to an end? Until tomorrow, good night from Cyprus.